So, Baruch Hashem, we're beginning today chapter 19, Yutes, on page Chav Daled. And it's a simcha. Why is it a simcha? Because when we finish a Pedic Tanya, we go into another Pedic. It gives us more koyach and a power to do an avodas Hashem. Especially, it's coming up to the Rebbe's yahrzeit next Thursday, so this is a good preparation. And what are we learning about here? We're learning about how the Beinani is able to fulfill the dictum in the Torah, for this thing, Torah and mitzvahs, is near you, in your mouth, in your heart, and to act upon. And to your mouth, you could speak words of Torah. You learn Torah, what we're doing now. To act, you put on tefillin, you put a mezuzah on. But bilvavcha, in your heart, this is an enigma. Because, the heart, you either feel it and like it, or you don't. You can't legislate in a person, you must like this. It doesn't work. Unfortunately, you have too much of that. We had too much of that. You must marry a Jew, and you must do this. Okay, so those are more poel mamish things, action-oriented. But at the end of the day, you marry someone because you feel for them, right? So it's associated with a feeling. So by telling me I must marry a Jew, it's like you're talking to a wall. And especially when it comes to Torah mitzvahs, you must put tefillin on, you must put this. All the musts and all the shoulds go out the window when it comes to feelings. So if the Torah wouldn't say that Torah and mitzvahs kikaro velecha hadavar mi'oid bilvavcha, if the word bilvavcha between beficha and lasoise wouldn't be there, no problem. It makes sense. Just say the words beficha with your mouth and just do. The problem that the Alter Rebbe has and why he wrote his Tanya to address this issue is because it says a bilvavcha. And after the Alter Rebbe explained at great length what a tzaddik is, what a rosh is, and what a beinani is, the question is even more difficult. A beinani is not a tzaddik. He's not a rosh, but he's not a tzaddik. But a beinani has a full set of urges to do things that are ungodly and unhealthy. So how can you legislate? To a beinani, you must love God. I love myself. I love pleasures. That's what I really like. Whatever else I do because I need to do. I need to make money, so I'm a doctor. I need to make money, so I'm a writer. But do you really love writing? I told you what Dennis Prager once said at a talk in Los Angeles at the Sephardic Temple on Wilshire Boulevard. There were about 1,000 young people there, college students and young professionals. And he said, how many people here can raise your hand and say, you love your job? And there were some people, but, And then he said, how many of you can say that you love your job and you get paid for it as well? There were less hands that went up. A job? My father taught me, my father is a European Jew, a survivor, this attitude, this American attitude, I don't like this job, I ain't gonna work, I just want the job that I got a degree in. And meanwhile, my family and kids are gonna suffer and not have what to eat because I'm a pompous, arrogant SOB. Go out and work. Go clean the windows. That's what my father taught me growing up. Who are you? You're married? You have children? You have bills? You have tuition? Go out and work. Yes. Work to the point. And that's what he did. It wasn't lip service. My father worked jobs that we wouldn't even dream of, with rats and mice running around his head because he worked at night, double shift, in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, managing the machines that produced the material, for sweaters and shawls and things like that. And they weren't very hygienic up there. I visited there when I was a boy. You wouldn't want to be there. And so during the day, when you had workers there, many employees, so the rats and the mice took a break. But at night, they all came out. And my father is by himself in this massive place, making sure that everything's ready and working at night so they have the production going. And that's why it was called double time, and he made double the amount of money. And so he worked so hard, he put away the money, and he said, Baruch Hashem, and then he was able to buy, with partners, with a partner, a business, and then he sold that, and Baruch Hashem. But he worked very, very hard. In the 60s, when I was a little boy, so in the late 60s, early 70s, he partnered with someone they bought a medallion, a taxi. Now you have to understand, for an Orthodox Jew, and especially a Hasidic Jew, to drive a taxi was like the biggest busha, the biggest embarrassment. Why? You know what a balagola is? We read the stories of the Baal Shem Tov and the balagola, right? Well, that feeling of being a balagola and the stigmatism associated with being a balagola that we had the last 200 years still exists today. Imagine your daughter is there's a shidduch offered to your daughter, a truck driver. Trust me, most people will say, but he's a great guy. Yeah, but he's a truck driver. And my father and a few others didn't care because Mayor Lindsay, after the riots of the 60s, wanted to bring more business into New York. So he gave a great deal on a medallion. You had to buy a medallion to be able to drive a taxi, right? Like the commission. I'm sure in Chicago was that way, and Los Angeles, wherever you were. You just can't, it wasn't like today that you have Uber and all that, right? So he got that, he did it, and they got 2 for 1. So he took a partner. He worked 12 hours, and his partner worked 12 hours. And the partner just came for Romania, didn't have a cent to his name. My father said, I'm going to loan you money, you'll pay me back, and then you work 12 hours. And that's what he did. And they did very well. And in those years, in the 70s, it was dangerous. My father's friend from shul, Kalman Katlowitz, in 1979, was shot dead at Smith 9th Street in Brooklyn. I remember him from shul. What a wonderful person. He had a taxi, and he was shot, killed. So this was really, so I remember it was Friday, and my father wasn't home because he worked in Manhattan. The money was better in Manhattan. Everyone's using a taxi. It's Manhattan. But it's Friday, 4 o'clock, 4:15, it's Lichtsinden. And my heart was pounding with fear that my father's not home for Shabbos. Where is he? He came in a minute or two before the 18 minutes, not before before the last of the 18 minutes, And he made Shabbos, Baruch Hashem. Because he, of course, wouldn't break Shabbos. If need be, he would stop wherever he is. But you understand what hard work, we don't know what this means today. You guys in Israel are a little more, into this, you work much harder. But coming from America, I think you know what I'm saying. So why am I saying all this? Why am I telling you this diatribe? Because the Alter Rebbe seeks ways to understand how you are to serve Hashem. Karev elecha hadover mioid. It's so near you, bilvavcha. It's not near me. Action I could do, but feeling. So the Alter Rebbe answers the question. you're right. If you have to generate a love, a feeling, a heart palpitation, it's not Karav Mi'oid. It's definitely not Mi'oid, very near you. It might be Karav at times, but not near. So what's the answer? So chapter Yud Ches, the Alter Rebbe introduced the concept of Ava Musuteres. There's an innate love that every Jew has, and I thought the way Yoni said it at the end, it's the recharge chapter of Tanya. I thought that was very good. The Alter Rebbe says you have to just reveal who you are. Wake up and just think a little bit. Who am I? And when you think about who you are, and where you came from, and what you want to accomplish, the dust and the cover-up and the facade will slowly dissipate, and your natural feeling will come about. And that's why we're able to say, Karav elecha hadavar mi'oid. It's very near you, because it's natural to you. That's the answer, Moshe. If I have to generate a love, it's not very near me. But if all I have to do is reveal the love that I have, it's me. If it's me, it's very near me. Nevertheless, the question that he raised is 4 things. If you remember, what he said was, A, what's the source of this love, the shoyresh? Number 2, mahu inyana. What's the purpose and objective of this love? Number 3, eichi yerusha. What Alter Rebbe had said earlier, it's an inheritance that we get from our ancestors. How is that? And number 4, how is fear, awe for God, yira, included within the ava? Because one needs both ava and yira to serve Hashem. If you only have ava and you don't have yira, it's not good. It won't work. If you only have yira and you don't have ava, it's also not good. And that's why we see there are people that excel only in this kav, in yira, or in the kav of ava, and it don't work. At the end of the day, there's a breakdown. You must have both, right? Velvel, what would I call yira? Discipline. The doctor says, you need to do this. You love your doctor. You can love your doctor, but if he tells you need to do this, and Isser and I were talking about this before Shir a few days ago, how he struggles with, some of the patients that he had. They don't want to listen to him. They want to do their own thing. Hey, you're coming to me as an expert. You learned in yeshiva. I learned in university, in medical school. I spent 8 years. Listen, that's yira. That's discipline. There's no here, hey, you're my best buddy and I love you. Let's go play golf and go to the ball game. We could do all that, but you got to listen to the rules, right? You come into a shul, right? You come into a shul, there's a gabbai, there's a rabbi, there's a system. This isn't just a free-for-all. Anyone will get up and decide, I want to do this today. I want to, and when you have such situations, it's a balagan. So yira is a necessary component for a healthy approach to Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe's 4th question is, how is within this ava that we talk about, that yira is incorporated in it? Seemingly ava and yira contradict each other, and that he's going to answer at the end of chapter 19. But in the beginning of chapter 19, which we're going to begin now, he addresses the 2nd question more than he did yesterday, and that is, what's the objective of the ava? And the answer, before I say it inside, is the objective is bittul, subservience, away from yourself, away from ego. So in a way, Velvel, you know what his answer is? No objective. Objective is treif. Objective is ego. Don't seek anything. Just be. Just be. And this is a big chiddush. Because normally, someone who is an Oved Hashem, right? we train ourselves to think, to contemplate, and to say, I want to accomplish this. I want to get smicha. I want to get the medical degree. I want to do this. I want to do that, right? And although it's necessary, because otherwise you have chaos and you have no system in order, nevertheless, at the end of the day, if it's oriented on the I, it's a problem. If it's oriented on the self-esteem, which is God-esteem, as Rabbi Twersky says in his books at length, meaning, Hashem wants me to help people. Now, what was I blessed with that I can help people? The shuster, the shoe repairman, can help people by making them good shoes. The shuster cannot help people by being a doctor. And if the shuster decides to be a doctor, again, if a person is determined with their will, they could do anything. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about regular day-to-day stuff. This is your field. And guess what? Being a shoemaker is a very important thing. And in fact, someone went to the Rebbe and he said, Rebbe, I have no parnosa. I need a bracha for parnosa. The Rebbe said, go to so-and-so. I don't want to say the names. I know who they are. Go to so-and-so and ask him what you should do for parnosa. So right away, and he was rather close to the Rebbe. Right away, he was like, why are you sending me to so-and-so? I came to ask you for advice. He went to so-and-so, because the Rebbe said that, and so-and-so said, you know, you should go into the shoe business. Sell shoes. He looks at him and he says, I don't know anything about the shoe business. He says, I know you don't, but you know, everyone needs shoes. And if you get into the shoe business, you'll do very well. He came back to the Rebbe and he says, I can't do this. I just don't know this. I can tell you, the person had difficulties in parnosa and other areas the rest of his life. I know the players. When a tzaddik tells you to do something, if you're going to ask, you better listen. You better be prepared to listen. And if you don't, you're on your own. And you might succeed because God and you, that's what Hashem wants. But at the same time, you might not succeed. A Rebbe, if you believe in a tzaddik, and he sees, 1 second, Isser. He sees, imagine he tells Isser, I want you to go, the Boston Rebbe, his Rebbe will tell him, I want you to go to China and to sell in the market their products. He'll say, Rebbe, what are you talking about? Well, that's the question. What type of chassid are you? You know, in Chabad, the hiskashro, since it's Gimel Tammuz next week, I'm taking a moment, diverging. You know, it's like, hey, hiskashro's connection means that the Rebbe knows better because he sees what my neshama needs. Yes, sir. Briefly, because I want to learn the Tanya. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to tell a quick story. Once in my life, I heard the Rebbe, this is the Rebbe, current Rebbe from Borough Park. Once in my life, I've heard him yell. I was at his house for Malava Malka, and he took a phone call from somebody who wanted a bracha to go into a business. And all I could hear from the conversation was, I don't care who gave you this bracha, you could lose everything you have, and you must talk to a chacham in the business before you go into it. And he could not convince this person to go and seek proper advice in hishtadlus, and he hung up on the Rebbe. And then he called back and asked for Mechila, and the Rebbe said again, you must talk to somebody who knows the business. It could be great, but you could lose everything.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Page Chavdalit, Pelik Yutes. So the Alter Rebbe now is going to explain more about this emunah and how the objective of this ava is not to push the yesh, the ego, which would be bina, but rather chokhmah. So he continues his thought that he developed in chapter 18, the idea of chokhmah. The chokhmah is the seat of bittul. And Cheba, some of you weren't here yesterday and the day before. I urge you to listen to the two shiurim on Yutes because it's really tied into Yutes. Let's go. Perik Yutes. U'teisefes biur, and to add clarification to what we said before about emunah, Tzarech levayir heitiv, we need to clarify better Mashakosov, what's written, Neir Hashem, famous posuk is brought in Chassidus on every page almost. The candle of God, Nishmas Adam, is the soul of man. Pirush, what does the Alter Rebbe says when he says Pirush? He's explaining something. She is Yisro, Hakruyim Adam. It doesn't mean every man, non-Jews included. It means Yidden. Jews who are called Adam, Nishmasam, their souls, Hilamoshul, Ke'oir Haneir, their souls are like the light of a candle, Shemisnasneya, which moves, top of page 48. Tamid, constantly, Lamaila, it's flickering always upward, the flame. And the Alter Rebbe adds the word B'tivoi, Velvel, B'tivoi. Does the flame of the candle need to be told, now flicker upward? No. As soon as you light it, you see it going upward. Avram, why? Mipnei she'oir ha'eish, because the light of the fire, chafetz b'teva lipochet ma'basila, it wants by nature, naturally, to separate itself from the wick. And it desires to attach to its source, lamaila, above, which is called b'yesod ha'esh, in the ball of fire, the esoteric idea of the source of fire, hakloli, the general fireball, shehu Galgal Hayareach, Shetachas Galgal Hayareach, which is under the orbit of the moon, which means the sun. Hey, why you, flame, want to go back and you're always flickering upward? You become extinguished, Yichbe, and there will be no benefit to us below, because you won't shine anymore, you're absorbed in the source. V'gam le'maylo b'shorshay. And number two, the Alter Rebbe says, if you're thinking that in your shoresh, you're going to do something, hey guy, you're making a big mistake. The fireball is going to swallow and eat you up. Yizbatel oirei b'mitzius b'shorshay. The mitziyut, the entity of the flame, Moshe, will be nullified within the fireball. So what are you thinking? Why are you looking to go up, flickering upward? Says the Alter Rebbe, nevertheless, that's the nature of the flame, that it wants by nature to go back to its source. This is what, yeah, Moshe, go ahead.
Assuming we're talking about the flame wanting to go up to its source, I assume we're talking about the nefesh elokis.
Yes, just wait. Wait. Let's read the analogy. We didn't read the analogy yet. You're jumping. Give me a second. Kach. This is the moshel. Now comes the nimshel, the moral. Kach nishmas ha'adam. So the soul of man. Yes, Moshe. Nishmas ha'adam refers to the nefesh elokis. V'chein pchinas ruach v'nefesh. Remember, right? There's levels of the soul. Naran, nefesh, ruach, neshama. So all the levels. Chefza v'cheshka b'tiva. It desires and longs naturally liparet v'lotzis minaguf, to separate itself and leave its body v'litbeit b'shorsho mekayra, and cleave to its source b'Hashem chaya chayim baruch Hu, in the living God, infinite God. Hagam she'etiyeh ayim ve'efes, although it'll be naught in its source, it is battle b'sham b'metzias legamri, and it will be completely nullified in its existence. V'lo yishor mimena me'uma mimuhusa v'atzmus harishin, and nothing will be left of its previous status, of its first status. Aval pikein zeu ritzoyna v'chefza b'tiva. This is the nature, its will. This is its will and its desire, not by nature. V'teva, and this nature, zehu shem hamushel l'chol dover she'ena b'chinas tam v'das. The Alter Rebbe now adds a caveat. This idea that there's a natural desire to be with God, even though your presence is absorbed and lost, and you're no longer, as we say, a big macher, right? This we shema mushel, we borrow the name, anything that is not logical, but it transcends logic, is called by this name. V'gam kana kavona, and over here too, the intent is and purpose. Sherotza v'chofet zeh b'nefesh, this desire of the soul, eina b'pchinas tam v'das, is not logical, v'seichel musik amuvim, and comprehensible to the human mind. El l'mayla me'adas v'seichel amusik v'amuvim, it transcends logic. V'hi Pchinas Chochma for Shebet Nefesh, and this is what we learned in chapter 18. The Alter Rebbe repeats it again. This is what I mean, Chochma Shebet Nefesh, Shebo Eirin Sof Baruch Hu, because Chochma Shebet Nefesh, the faculty of Chochma within your soul, is the abode for the infinite God. So basically, what's the Alter Rebbe saying? The neshama desires to be back with its source, even though the neshama will be naught. You would think that the neshama wants to be here to make a difference and to be, as we say in Yiddish, a yatshem adam. I don't know if it's Yiddish. A yatshem adam means in English like a big macher, a big shot. You're not going to be a yatshem adam. Out! You're extinguished. When the flame, you make a difference. You light up. But when you want to go upward, you want to go back to the fireball, you're going to be eaten up and swallowed by the fireball so much greater. So why do you want it? I still want it. You know why? Because I don't have an objective of self. So now you understand, Chevra, a chassid wants to be with his Rebbe and with chassidim, even though it might be a little smelly and a little dirty and a little cuckoo. He don't care. He don't care. In Chabad, they would say, and it's probably true in other Hasidism too, the schwitzerai, the sweat that you experience standing by a Rebbe and Chassidim, whether it be a tish or a fabrengen, is the Eisreiben sich. Eisreiben means to rub. You rub out the ego. Yeah, because you're schwitzy, and it's smelly, and it's uncomfortable. The bittul ha'adam, the fire, by nature says, I want to be in the source. Why? There's no why. You understand? That's what Alter Rebbe is saying here. The question of why contradicts the experience. And this is, as Moshe said before, this is the natural desire of the Nefesh Elikis. That's why we say, Bal korcha chai, yoini. You're forced to live. What does it mean now? You understand? So that pshat b'pashtus is, God sent the soul down to the body, and Nebuch many times, especially Isser as a doctor and Velvel, see people who are suffering, and they want to die already. I knew someone in Crown Heights who had the machla, and they said, we're davening for you. He says, to be better. He says, stop. Daven for me to die, please. I'm in suffering. I don't want to live anymore. And the doctors here can, I'm sure, relate to this better than I can, but I can understand it. It's gefährlich pain when you have pain and suffering. The neshama suffers. You know why? It doesn't want to be here. The neshama has no interest being here. It's smelly, it stinks, it does no good. Hashem says, get down. Go into the body. Go make a difference. So here the question is, nevertheless, the flame who's lighting up the room is flickering upward. It's an oxymoron. You're accomplishing, and what we're telling you is, and what you're saying is, I don't want it. So the Alter Rebbe says, by nature, listen to this Nakud, it's very important, very deep. The Alter Rebbe is saying that by nature, the neshama doesn't want to be here. It wants to be with Hashem. I'll say, Neshamale. Shlomo Karlbach used to call his daughter Neshamale. He had the two daughters, right? Neila and Neshama. Neshamale. Neshamale, why do you want that? The answer is there's no why. I came from God, I want to be with God. And you know, of course, the flip side is the God says, I hear you, but I want you to be here. You see? But the point is that the flame, in this case the neshama, doesn't have a mavukish. A mavukish verbal means an objective. What do I want? And that's why the Alter Rebbe says it's not bina shebenefesh, it's chochma shebenefesh. Because chochma shebenefesh transcends reasoning. So it's not I want to be for a certain purpose. No. This is I don't want any certain purpose. I came from Hashem. I have a natural desire to be with Hashem. It says the Alter Rebbe, this is inyana of this ava. Let's tie it together. This ava that we're talking about in chapter 18, which is called the ava musateres, the innate love that every Yid has, that you don't have to create, you just have to reveal, right, and uncover. It's such a powerful love that this love is not about what can I accomplish. It is. That's what it is. So the question was, Moshe, what's the objective of the love? The answer is there's no objective. There's no objective because the word objective means there's a mavukish. There's a certain, plan, a certain program. That itself is already ego connected. And the whole idea of this love is not ego. And that's why it's karev elecha davar miyoid. Something that is outside of you and you have to create it is not karev elecha davar miyoid. You have to work on it, you have to study it, you have to develop it, and ultimately you have to feel it. So then it's outside of you, imposing itself on you, and take it from there. Here it's not outside of you, it's you! That's the chiddush. That's the word. So therefore, since it's you, just reveal it. Be yourself. What do you think? Great point, no? Chevra, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Mitzvah Shem. Have a great day. Zay gesund. Bye-bye.